So look, you might be interested as to how did I get here. I studied science at university and wanted to be a high school science teacher, but realised fairly quickly that while I was doing my prac and my dip ed, I really wasn't that interested in being a science teacher. So I ended up working in research and worked in a number of different research positions for quite a few years at the Department of Primary Industries here in Queensland and at Flinders University in South Australia, and then eventually ended up working with industry in the food and agricultural space. So there's a theme really emerged when I left uni around food and agriculture, and worked in extension of how to help farmers develop new products and new markets overseas, and then started working with food companies. And eventually found myself at the University of Queensland working with their technology transfer commercialisation company called UniQuest. And my job at UniQuest was to commercialise food and agricultural research. Having been working in research and having worked at the interface between research and industry, that was a really exciting job. And over 10 years, from 2006 to 2017, I started 4 different startup companies while I was working at the University of Queensland. And in some senses, the course that I teach and the courses that I teach here at the University of Queensland are really all of the lessons that I learned over that 30-year journey of doing research and translating that research into impact in the marketplace. And back in 2017, the University of Queensland Business School asked me to come on board as their entrepreneur in residence, and more recently industry professor, to really teach innovation and entrepreneurship to masters and MBA students, not only in the business school but right across the university. And so I'm really passionate about that, around how do we take ideas that are really clever ideas, but how do we actually use those ideas to have an impact on the world? And that's really what floats my boat. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about today around the journey where I learned most of my lessons, which is in a company that I started back in 2007, 8, 9. We started working on it in 2006. We actually incorporated the company in 2009, a company called ProGel. And ProGel was commercializing a technology invented by Professor Besh Bandari, a food engineer at the University of Queensland. And he'd worked out how to make micro capsules. So these are like a normal capsule. You have a medicine capsule, but really, really small, about 50 micrometers or less. And he worked out how to encapsulate probiotics in these micro capsules. And so I came across this technology when I started at the University of Queensland, and I guess what Professor Bandari invented, he invented a new method, a new device and a new method for encapsulating just about anything. And so my job was really to work out, well, how do we take this idea, this invention, this how to do things, and work out, well, what should we do, why should we do it, and who might be interested, who cares? And that question, who cares, has now featured in all of the stuff I talk about, because it's probably the most important question when you're trying to be a game changer or an innovator, is really asking that question, well, who cares? And so we went on this journey of commercializing this encapsulation technology. And we focused on probiotics because we realized there were some real problems in the probiotic industry. This is back in the early 2010s. And we realized that most of the probiotic products in the marketplace, the probiotics in them are dead. They are live when they start, but they actually ferment the lactose in there to create lactic acid, which is why they're mostly called lactic acid bacteria. And a lot of those bacteria die over time. And so the products that actually potentially have health benefits, they have great health benefits at the start of shelf life, but by the end of shelf life, a lot of those probiotics have died. And we also knew that those probiotics, that once they get into the gut, the acid in the gut actually kills those probiotics that are remaining. And so a lot of probiotic products don't really have a lot of probiotic health benefits because they either die in the product or they die in passage through the stomach. And the technology that Professor Bandari invented actually solved that problem. So by encapsulating them in these tiny little balls of seaweed or alginate, which comes from brown seaweed, we could protect them not only in a product, but we could also protect them as passage through the stomach. So we realized this was a really exciting opportunity, and I spent a few years actually traveling around the world trying to license this technology to a number of different companies all around the world. We talked to all of the biggest probiotic manufacturers. We talked to a lot of the biggest product manufacturers that manufactured probiotic products. We talked to drink companies and snack companies. And ultimately we were unsuccessful at trying to convince them to commercialize our technology for us. And I realized that these companies were selling lots of product, and even though there was some evidence that those products didn't have direct health benefits, they were still selling lots of products. And so we realized, look, we had a technology that worked. It had the potential to really improve gut health and improve the health benefits of these probiotic products, but we couldn't convince anyone to take a risk on the technology. And so we, the company that we'd started, ProGel, we had some investors, and we decided to actually prove that it would work ourselves. And so we created our own product. And that probiotic, as you can see here, is a product called PERKii, which we developed In the early 2010s, between 2010 and 2014, we developed that product. And again, once we developed the product, we tried to give that product to other organizations to take to market. But again, it wasn't their product, it wasn't invented here. And so ultimately we learned that we had to take that product to market, which we did. And so we called the product PERKii. It's a name I came up with, and we developed the product, we developed the flavors, and we took that product to market. And in 2015, we spun out PERKii as a new company from Progel. And in that process, we went out and we raised a whole heap of money from some investors, and we formed the company PERKii. I wasn't directly involved in that company, I had shares in that company, but the company was then effectively a drink company. And I guess in that journey through the initial point of an invention, which was a how to do something, how to stabilize probiotics, how to stabilize omega-3s, how to stabilize various drug compounds and other chemical entities, we could do a whole heap of different things. It was effectively a platform technology. And we sort of distilled that down to this one opportunity, which we were really excited about. It had a real potential to have a significant impact on gut health, which was a big problem and is becoming an increasingly big problem as we go through and as the population eats a lot more processed foods. And so we created this product, which we knew was really going to be something that could be potentially a game changer, but we couldn't convince anyone in the drinks and the food industry to actually take a risk on it. And in some senses, that was probably my biggest learning, is that we had solved a real problem, a real technical problem, but no one cared. Really, when I talked to individual consumers, they cared. When people who buy this product, they love it and they care. You look at the side label that talks about gut health and talks about protected probiotics through the stomach into the intestines, where it actually can have a health benefit. But the industry didn't care, so we had to create our own company. And I think that was probably the key lesson that I learned, is that if you've got a new idea, you've got to work out how to put it into a way or into a package that actually people will care about. And so you'll hear in the rest of this course around the business model we developed for Progel and PERKii, and how we had to really rethink around the customer that we were focused on. And we discovered that the problem we needed to solve was not necessarily to make everyone else's products better, but we had to do something a bit different. And so we looked at the probiotic market and we started talking to probiotic consumers, and we tried to really understand, well, what is the problem we need to solve here? And back in around 2013, 2014, we really started to get a hint that there was this real trend, this real move away from sugar, and somewhat a small trend away from dairy. And almost every probiotic product in the world was basically yogurt. That's pretty well all there was. Your Colt, which is a probiotic drink, and then a snack food you eat with a spoon. They were really the only probiotic products in the marketplace. And so we thought, well, look, we've tried to actually offer this technology to companies who make those products, and they're not interested. So our ability to differentiate on that product is probably going to be quite challenging. And so we decided to create another product. So we created a probiotic flavored water. And what we found is that we could keep probiotics alive in this drink, which was an acidic drink below pH 5, which meant that it was stable. We could keep probiotics alive in that product for months, as opposed to weeks in normal probiotic sort of dairy products. And so we thought this was a game changer. And so we created this product, and we actually did some early trials. We actually did a trial with a cafe here in Brisbane. And all we did was we'd created the product, we'd hand filled the bottles, really low scale, low fidelity. We'd done it in a safe food manufacturing facility, but we took it to this cafe and we said, look, we've created this new probiotic drink. It's low in sugar, it has no dairy, and it's low in calories. It's got these probiotics which are going to make people's gut health better. Can you try and sell it? And so we had a conversation with a local cafe, and they said yes, they would be interested in trying and selling it. We gave it to them. We didn't sell it to them. We said, if you can just try and sell it and just see what consumers think of it. We'd done a lot of testing, a lot of sampling with individuals, and we were convinced that people liked it, but we wanted to find out if it would sell. So we dropped the product off, and over the next 4 weeks, it became their number one selling drink. Particularly women that were health conscious, that were trying to reduce their sugar, maybe trying to move away from dairy, were really in love with the product, and they would come in on Fridays and buy extra for the weekend. And that really aligned with some experiments we did in some supermarkets, really gave us the confidence that this was a real opportunity that needed to be exploited. And so again, on that basis, we went out and we raised some money to take that product to market, which we've done. And PERKii has been, for all intents and purposes, pretty successful. It's invented at the University of Queensland. It's got a University of Queensland address on the label. So it's a deep tech enabled product that was based on a whole heap of technology and intellectual property and patents, which is not very common. A lot of food products don't have patents behind them. And so we've done all the hard work of taking it to market, and it's been relatively successful. I mean, the company's turning over millions of dollars worth of sales now. It's available, distributed throughout the country, really, and now expanding into overseas markets. So at a University of Queensland technology transfer story, it's been successful, and I feel very pleased about that. I'm no longer directly involved. But I learned a lot of lessons in that journey from 2006 when I first came across the technology to now, nearly 2024, we're nearly 20 years on. I learned a lot of lessons about that process, which is one of the key lessons is just because you can doesn't mean you should. And so when you're an inventor, when you've got an idea, you've got to work out not only can we, but should we. And so we were answering the should we questions, and we believe we could really transform gut health in people. And that is still gaining traction, but it's a hard message to sell. And so, but we're on that journey of actually taking that product to market, and it's getting bigger and bigger every year, which we're excited about. But I just wanted to I guess, contrast an alternative story, which was happening about the same time. So we launched around 2014, 2015. It was about the same time as the kombucha market was starting. So really, kombucha had been around. It's a product that's been around for a very, very long time. Fermented tea. It's got probably millennia of history. But it was really doing nothing in 2013, 2014, 2015. And I remember saying to a group of investors, the only thing that's similar to what we're doing, non-dairy, low sugar, is kombucha. But don't worry about that. It's not going anywhere. It's not going to do anything because it's just this weird drink that no one likes, except for hippies and alternates. Never have a more false statement ever been made. And what we realized is that as we were launching our product, and our product was doing well, but kombucha just exploded. It just did what technology companies or startups want, is they want to see this hockey stick. It just did this explosive growth and grew into a billions of dollars worth of category within about 5 years. And this is probably the most important insight that I learned from that experience, and probably the key insight that I want to share with you guys, is that the problem that kombucha solved was different to the problem that we were solving. We were solving a problem around probiotic stability and delivering improved gut health to consumers who didn't want sugar and didn't want milk. And that category was successful, and we've done a great job of that, and it's a great tasting drink, and a lot of people love it, really love it. They're passionate. People who buy PERKii are really passionate. But see, what kombucha did, and in particular a couple in West Australia who created the Remedy brand, they actually were solving a different problem. I mean, they were creating a product that was based on fermentation. It's sort of a little bit similar. It doesn't really make any claims around gut health or around probiotics. But the problem that they solved is that the whole world was looking for a healthy soft drink, because the world loves soft drinks. And they created a soft drink that was low in sugar and didn't have any dairy in it, but it was still bubbly. And ultimately, that was such a much bigger category than particularly health-conscious people who wanted low sugar, low dairy probiotic product. And so in some senses, we couldn't have created that product because our product needs to be chilled. And so we couldn't create, we have created a sparkling version, but it's not a shelf-stable ambient product like most kombuchas are. And they don't still make claims. Most of them don't make claims around health benefits. But what they've done is they've reduced the sugar consumption of soft drink consumers around the world. And the soft drink industry is profoundly bigger than the functional water category. And so while I don't think we could have necessarily done that, I won't actually know, and we never will know, because we'd actually discounted that opportunity right at the start, because we were convinced that the opportunity was flavored water with probiotics. And I guess that's what I've reflected on in my journey now as a lecturer and as someone who's trying to help other people make changes, is be careful of the assumptions you're making when you're starting out about what is the problem you're solving and who are the customers. We absolutely solved a problem in terms of keeping probiotics alive, developing better probiotic products, and people who consume our products absolutely, I'm convinced, will have better gut health. But there was a much bigger problem that we didn't see because we didn't go looking for it. And that's the importance of asking questions and talking to humans, of making sure you have a full understanding of what are all the different problems that need to be solved and what are all the different solutions. And so ultimately, when you're looking at going on this game-changing journey, I really wanted you to spend some time at the front end of that journey, and also make sure that in the whole journey that you're on, you're constantly asking the problem. What problem am I solving? What new opportunity am I creating? And who cares? And why do they care? So not just getting focused on the what or the how, but thinking about the who and the why. And I'm really happy that Remedy's done what they've done, and kombucha has gone to where it is, because it's just reducing sugar consumption, which the world has a problem with sugar, which is great. But I've learned a really valuable lesson, and I'm hoping that you can see some of that lesson yourselves in terms of making sure you ask questions, talk to lots and lots of humans, and really have a real clarity around what problem you're solving, what new opportunity you're creating, and who you're doing that for. And if you focus on the who, ultimately, and get the right who with the right problem, or needing the right opportunity with the right solution, and the right how, the right business model, I can guarantee you that you will have a better chance of success. It doesn't guarantee success. I can guarantee you'll have a better chance of success than if you just take an idea and take it to market without actually going through all those processes and testing those assumptions. That's the real value of this process, is testing assumptions, finding your who, finding your why, and then building the how and the what, sort of almost in parallel with that. So good luck on your journey, and look forward to going through the rest of the course with you.